first say you're mad. I mean,
Mad?
Yeah.
I am no longer a Democrat. I'm now a Libertarian and Republican.
Ah, yes, Eric Swalwell's billionaire pal, California Klubeck. And Swalwell was living in his multi-million-dollar house. What is that, Michael? Like a $27 million house he was living in Beverly Hills? And Klubeck said that knowing Swalwell has made him leave the Democratic Party, which should happen to millions and millions of Americans that call themselves Democrats if they believed in common decency. But I know. That's a big if. Well, very happy Wednesday to you, and welcome back. We are at 888-630-9625. And the Swalwell saga steams along. You got, these people on the, what is that? The View. They they redefine mental dwarfism, mental incapacity. They should change the name of the show to the SMIDs, the Severely Mentally Ill Democrats, the SMIDs. What is today, Michael? Today is Wednesday, and that means it's hump day in the Clinton household, as everybody knows, and Hillary's got to get out of the house lickety-split because of the arrangement that they struck long ago. And it means that here on our modest and humble radio broadcast, heard all throughout the galaxy, that it is Mailbag Day. Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show, where we take questions from you, our beloved normal people, and try to answer them and, do a reasonably good job. So it's Mailbag Day. It is hump day in the Clinton household. It is Wednesday. And if you're Eric Swalwell, it's definitely hump day because, boy, this guy, he's not having a good time. Another woman came forward yesterday to tell her story about Eric Swalwell drugging her with a roofie. It's called a roofie, luring her back to a hotel room. Oh, I have some papers I have to get in my hotel room. And now that I put a roofie in your glass of wine like Bill Cosby would do, he's the full Bill Cosby creep, this guy. And there apparently still perhaps many more women to come forward to talk about their not-so-savory experiences with Eric the Creep Swalwell. And he's really something. But the nice lady that held a press conference yesterday, I thought was very credible. And she was no Christine Blasey Ford. But the Democrats dragged out of who knows where to try to smear Brett Kavanaugh. And they failed, but boy, they tried. They did everything but firebomb the governor's mansion. Speaking of which, they've got a lot. We've got Eric Swalwell updates, but we've got Democrat Party updates with this Hasan Piker guy. This Hasan Piker guy, he's a big-time Democrat influencer. He's all over the internet, and he's an influencer, and he's a Democrat, and he carries their message of, kill the Jews, just like his Nazi forebearers, Hasan Piker. And the Democrats love Hasan Piker. They're dating Hasan Piker. They want their daughters to date. They want their sons to date Hasan Piker. The other Democrats, they wouldn't want to be prejudicial. We'll leave the house pets out of it for now. But Dems love Hasan Piker, hate Jews. Hate Jews. Why do the Democrats hate the Jews? Oh, they've lined up with the fascists of the world. You know how they are. There's some, and they're violently, criminally insane. Honestly, the New York Times, this is a good one on Hasan Piker. The New York Times, they have left-wing hacks typing for them all over the place. It's like monkeys at a typewriter. And eventually, some of it will be Shakespeare, apparently. At the New York Times faces backlash for changing headline of, this is pretty good, of an op-ed. They had an op-ed from a far-left lunatic, and they wrote an op-ed about Hasan Piker, who hates the Jews and would kill them all. And he's a Nazi and a fascist and a jihadi, and the Democrats want to hang out with him and get into the sleeping bag and wriggle around and call Hunter Biden on their cell phones. They're very unwell. But they had the Ezra Klein, radical left-winger, a self-loathing Jewish American, and a Democrat, New York Times and all that. And the headline was, Hasan Piker is not the enemy. Hasan Piker is not the enemy. No, he just wants to kill all the Jews. And that's not the enemy when you're the Democrat Party, because they apparently want to kill all the Jews, too. Even their Jews want to kill all the Jews. If you want to be a good party member, But the headline was, Hasan Piker is not the enemy. And then the New York Times changed the headline. On the internet, they can do this. And the new headline is, this is why there is no liberal Joe Rogan. This is why there is no liberal Joe Rogan. And that's because they're all criminally, mentally insane. They're mentally ill. They're violently, criminally insane, genocidal a lot of the time. They're really like Nazis or like Al-Qaeda. The Democrat Party is pretty much in cahoots with Al-Qaeda at this point. Isn't that amazing? And Hasan Piker, naturally invited to Yale University. That used to be a good school. Is that a 4-year school? Hasan Piker says the American empire, he calls it the American empire, is dying at well-attended debate at Yale University. And, the American empire is dying, and he's trying to kill it. He's trying to choke it like it's one of Eric Swalwell's dates. He's choking the life out of the United States of America. Like he is Eric Swalwell, and America is a date, because that's what Eric Swalwell does, a little choking until they pass out, and you already give them a roofie, and you got the full Bill Cosby going on and all that stuff. And Hasan Piker, remember Hasan Piker, the guy we played audio of him before, including, I think, yesterday, where he said that, we deserved September 11th, the attacks of September 11th, 2001, because we're bad and Jews, something like that. But Hasan Piker defends Hamas support. He loves Hamas. He'd rather vote for Hamas than for Israel because he's a terrorist or a wannabe terrorist, because he's a freak show, but he's a perfectly mainstream, popular Democrat. And they're all, they should be wearing armbands and goose-stepping around the yard, on the cobblestones with hobnailed boots, because they're really getting close. There are death camps coming from the Democrat Party. Hasan Piker defends Hamas support as Pod Save America host tries to get him to disavow it. He was trying to, John Favreau, trying to, on Pod Save America, trying to get Hasan Piker to say, well, you didn't really mean what you said. It was just a slip of the tongue. And he said, oh, no, I would kill them all, and I would vote for Hamas because, and the rape doesn't bother him. He said the kidnappings and the rapes of October 7th, that really doesn't bother him. No big deal. And he's a mainstream Democrat. The New York Times loves him. CNN loves him. And he is a genocidal fascist, but in perfectly well with the Democrat Party because, by the way, today is, you might have been tracking this already. Today is tax day. It's tax day today. Today is the day to have your taxes in. And I did, just to be on the safe side, I asked my best girl again this morning, sitting in bed and watching some television, got my iPad, taking notes on audio to send to Michael Piercy on the old iPad, and eating some of this, what is that, Greek yogurt and granola and blueberries, eating that, and my field of greens, and watching it. And I said, today's tax day. And I said, and we're all done. We don't have to do anything today. And she said, no, that's right. We're all done, thanks to her. And we don't have to do anything today. So I gave a little knuckles bump in between the pillows and said, okay, good, tax day. But keep in mind that because it's tax day and President Trump is in the White House, the average tax refund this year is 11% higher. 11% higher. The latest IRS filing data shows. Isn't that amazing? The average tax refund for the average American is about 11% higher, right, so far this season compared with about the same period in 2025, according to the IRS filing data. As of April 3rd, the average refund amount to individual filers was $3,462, up from $3,116 about 1 year ago, the IRS said. So that is, that's progress. That's movement in the right direction. The Democrats probably want to burn a synagogue when they see that because they're mentally ill and violently, criminally insane. But we've got that going. What does that reflect about? These tax numbers reflect about 99.8 million individual tax returns. I think that Hunter Biden is probably not filing his tax returns this year. He owes his lawyers, $17 million. They must be real good lawyers. They kept him out of the penitentiary, I suppose. And, I think $17 million. And he's fled the country. He's out of the country. He's maybe he should be hanging out with Tara Reid in Russia. You know, the woman that was a staffer for Joe Biden. Joe Biden sexually assaulted her with his hands, pinned her against the wall. And she felt so unsafe during the Biden administration in the United States that she fled. Where'd she flee to, Michael? She's a Democrat. She fled to Russia. She fled to Putin's Russia. Maybe Hunter Biden should be hanging out with her. I'm telling you. And Hunter Biden wants to have a cage match with Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump. And I don't think that's a good idea for him. He's a crackhead. He's a mentally ill crackhead. But I think every Democrat a crackhead? It seems pretty close. So we've got that going on. Democrats, I want to get to Hasan Piker. I've got audio for you. And the crazy Pakistani, there's one of the ministers involved in the peace negotiations there. He says Israel is a curse for humanity and should burn in hell. And he's the guy negotiating the peace because the Muslims, you know, they got the sword of death and by the beard of Odin, completely nuts, lunacy. So we got that going. Oh, yeah, speaking of the sword of Islam and all that, the UK and France, the United Kingdom and France, plan military operation to open the Strait of Hormuz. Hey, isn't that everything Donald Trump said should happen? Because that's kind of fascinating. After Iran war ends, they say, as split with Trump becomes clearer. Actually, that's the headline from The Sun. I've got to say, actually, as them responding to what President Trump is telling them becomes clearer. That's what's going on there, but pay no attention to that. And Europe drafts post-war plan to free up Hormuz without U.S. That's the Wall Street Journal story. Good. You guys going to do something on your own for yourselves, for the world? That's interesting. And then you can pay off our national debt. You guys should pay off our national debt. You can start today. Start paying off our national debt since we've been, providing you the gravy train for, 80 years or something good like that. You guys. Oh, and The Economist. That's a magazine. They become very anti-Trump magazine. I guess they have been all along, but they're supposed to be this and they're not. The Economist says, if it starts, this is their headline, it's a nuclear arms race now. If it starts, a nuclear arms race will be unstoppable. Well, that's you got to stop Iran because they're a terrorist organization. It's like Al-Qaeda having underground uranium enrichment facilities and extending the range of their ballistic missiles. And Al-Qaeda's building an arsenal of nuclear weapons. And the Democrats shrug and attack the United States. The Democrat Party is not on the side of the United States of America. Not even close. Oh, and you see, Joe Biden was out and about. He was standing upright, which surprised and impressed everyone. But he was making a fool of himself. He had a portrait of him being unveiled. As you might, he was president of the United States. And there was, at the event for Joe Biden, there's a black man, and only one black man, present at the event. And Joe Biden kept mistaking him for Barack Obama. Hey, who's the black guy? Hey, are you articulate and bright and clean? Because Biden appears to mistake black man for Obama during Syracuse speech, giving a speech in Syracuse. And he's like, hey, who's the black guy? And the guy is embarrassed, and he's rolling his eyes and saying, I'm not Barack Obama, but that's the second time you said that, and you're quite mental. And then the Newsweek magazine headline, MAGA mocks Joe Biden for saying black man looks like Barack Obama. That's the whole headline at Newsweek magazine. Well, yeah, because we're pointing out that you guys pretended that he was a good president and he was smart and his brain was working properly and his faculties were working, but it's all a lie. It's all a big lie, just a big lie. The Democrat Party's big lie. We got a lot of big lie coming from the Democrats in the last 24 hours, and it's Mailbag Day here. It's good. Yeah, Yes, sir. I am telling you. Oh, and also small talk. This study on small talk. Dread small talk. You'll like it more than you think, according to new research. You should be making small talk, engaging in small talk with people in line at the grocery store and, on a street corner and stuff, which I do constantly, as you might imagine. I'm, everybody I bump into, I'm striking up conversations with. But it turns out there's a scientific study and small talk with people. That's good. It's part of life. I remember that. That was good. So the Democrats hating the Jews and loving Hasan Piker, who hates the Jews, which is kind of weird. And Eric Swalwell, the creep. And how many more Democrats like Eric Swalwell? What happened to Pound Me Too? Where's the Pound Me Too? Where are the Democrats with the Pound Me Too movement with Eric Swalwell? He should have a Pound Me Too tattoo on his forehead. The Eric Swalwell Pound Me Too forehead tattoo. We are at 888-630-9625. Democrat Maryland Governor Wes Moore is in trouble with Democrats because an old college yearbook photo emerged, and it says that he's a member of the College Republicans. So the Democrats might have to lynch him, as they have a long history of doing. It's almost funny. We may get back into that, but right now let's go to the telephones and talk to the great American people. I look forward to Savannah Hernandez, the young woman, lovely young woman, Turning Point USA reporter, violently attacked by Democrat criminals. A big fat Democrat criminal knocking her to the ground. Lovely young woman doing her job as a reporter. The violent criminal attacked her, and the news media doesn't care. They don't care about the First Amendment or any of that stuff. They're truly mental. All right, let's go to the telephones, Michael, although I'm running out the clock, aren't I? Let's go to Rob calling from Montgomery County, Maryland. Robert, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Rob.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey, Rob.
Chris. I'm here. I'm trying to take the phone off speaker.
I got you.
Anyway, I wanted to say just two things real quick.
Uh-huh.
And good morning to you. And I hope that you all can beat the heat today. It's supposed to get up to 90.
Global warming.
Or thereabouts.
Yeah.
But next week it'll be global cooling. It's supposed to be very, very
That'll
cool
be climate change.
Yeah.
That's climate change.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Tuesday, number one, has the Democrat Party actually done anything for anyone lately? I think if you just polled, I love that word, right? The poll.
Yeah.
100 people and ask them a question. What has your party done for America?
Tell you what, Rob, hang in there for me for a minute, will you? Yeah, we've got J.D. Vance talking about a whole lot of things and covering stuff, Turning Point USA. Savannah Hernandez being violently attacked by Democrats who are all violent criminals and misogynists and, Bill Cosby-style druggers and rapists and, the Democrats, the Democrat Party. And we got Eric Swalwell, too. But let's get back to our friend Rob, who's hanging in there, who I rudely cut off because of that clock and the commercial radio. Sorry, Rob, we're not NPR, so we got to pay our own bills, rather than suckling on the taxpayer teat like those NPR people, national pen. But you were just getting going. So thank you for hanging in there, Rob.
The tax man, I love that. Is it the tax man?
Yeah, the Beatles had some tax man.
Your colleague there deserves an Academy Award for the music. It's priceless.
It's nice.
Like
it's nice of you to notice.
Like
Thank you.
Like you too. Anyway, I had said that I'd like to hear just one positive thing from the other side. You never hear anything positive. It's all Trump. It's Trump this or Trump that. They're like a bunch of babies. They are. They're like children that they never graduated from anything. I don't think they graduated. If they did, they've regressed. But
yeah. I've been saying. I've been
Huh?
saying forever, Rob, that they have the brains of 5-year-olds. They have the brains of children. They genuinely do. You see it again and again. They're old, they're fat, they have beards, they wear suits, and they sound like 5-year-olds.
I wish I could send you the text picture that a friend of mine in Florida sent me from near Inverness. It's priceless. From when they were, what was that? They were protesting. They're all fat and. Well, they're all fat in the head too. But
yeah, that's a fact. And this big fat guy that attacked Savannah Hernandez and knocked her to the ground, running up behind her and knocking this beautiful young woman to the ground, who's a news reporter. And honestly, I was talking about this, I don't know, with Michael or with my best girl this morning. It's all a blur. But if conservatives with MAGA hats had attacked a liberal media woman and beat her and knocked her to the ground, the entirety of the American news media would be going crazy. Every Republican would be held to account on Capitol Hill. They'd all have to respond to, oh, what is this? How can this happen? At a Turning Point USA event, when the head of Turning Point USA, the founder, was murdered by the Democrats not too long ago, assassinated by the Democrats, and the Democrats assassinate a lot of people throughout the history of the Democrat Party. But I digress.
Still going after his wife.
Say again.
They're still going after his wife.
Well, that's right.
Things.
Yeah, we're going to get to some of that too, because she wouldn't go to the Turning
people.
She wouldn't go to the Turning Point USA event where the vice president was attending because of security threats and death threats. Because the Democrats are a violent criminal organization, and they're the Revolutionary Communist Party, I think.
They're awful.
Yeah, they really are. And they're getting worse and worse. And the worse things get with Eric Swalwell and with your Hasan Pikers of the world, the more the Democrats come out of the closet as kind of the source of evil on earth, and they really are. They're just they're the dumb party, the Republican Party, and not good at politics, and the evil party with after-school Satan Club, Rob. They stood up after-school Satan clubs across America. A lunatic in Grand Central Station in New York over the weekend stabbing 3 senior citizens with a big knife, yelling, "I am Lucifer, I am Lucifer," before the police shot him dead to stop him from slashing more people. And the Democrats want to defund the police and fund the mad slasher because the Democrat Party is just membership is a mental illness.
Chris, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
Can we change the colors from red to blue, please?
Honestly. I've been talking about that for years, too. And the Republicans on Capitol Hill, if they knew how to pick a fight, and if they knew how to fight a fight, I would not allow the Russell Senate Office Building to remain called the Russell Senate Office Building. Richard Russell, a Georgia Democrat senator who was a segregationist and a racist, and the Democrats got one of 3 Senate office buildings, only 3 Senate office buildings, where the senators have their offices named for Richard Russell, the Democrat segregationist racist from Georgia, from the old days, probably a pal of Joe Biden's. Amazing stuff. I'd get rid of that, and I'd change it to Hiram Revels, the first black man to serve in Congress, and he was a senator and a Republican. And honestly, the red state, blue state stuff, the Democrat Party is the reddest that any party has ever been in the history of the United States, and they call themselves blue, and they call conservatives red, and that's a lot of bourgeois. And if I were Speaker of the House, I would just start saying, we're going to make a change here. And the media can do what they want. The corrupt media can do what they want. And also, if I were the head of Newsmax TV, which I'm not, or if I were the head of Fox News, I would do it unilaterally and say, this network from now on is identifying the Democrat Party as red and identifying the Republican Party as blue. And I would do that as a network. And then I'd drag out, Rob, you may remember, I've talked about this, not lately, but how the kind of the news media and their Democrat pals chose blue for the Democrats and chose red for the Republicans. They used to switch them back and forth every election, every 4-year election cycle, presidential election cycle. And this year, the Republicans would be blue, and then in 4 years, the Republicans would be red. And then the Democrats decided, let's stop changing. Let's just make the Democrats true blue, and we'll make the Republicans evil red. And that's what they did. Right?
Chris, you have my vote, but you're irreplaceable. But, I think they buy everything. It's buy this and buy.
Yeah.
change from one. They're like chameleons. Hey, listen, thanks a lot, and please have a wonderful day.
Yeah, man.
As I've always said to you, God bless you and your staff and everyone else down there. You have a wonderful, wonderful show, and you keep a lot of people in the know, and you have a lot of PMA. You know, the PMA is important.
Got a lot of PMA. What's,
Yeah.
what's PMA?
Positive mental attitude.
Oh, positive mental attitude. Okay, PMA. Good. I'm in favor of that. I'm definitely in favor. Rob, thank you very much, and keep laughing, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, man.
It's madness out there, and the Democrat Party is violent. They're extremely violent. They're constantly violent. Boy, are they violent. Michael, how violent are they? All right, let's see which violent thing. What do we want to get to? It's just so amazing. We got Hasan Piker. We've got. Actually, let's get to Hasan Piker. Because we were talking about Hasan Piker and the Democrats. They love jihad against the Jewish people, just like the Nazis of the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. Remarkable stuff. And they, like Eric Swalwell. They're the party of Eric Swalwell, of Hasan Piker. They're not the party of the United States of America, but the New York Times with the Ezra Klein left-wing, self-loathing Jewish typist for the left. Hasan Piker is not the enemy. Hasan Piker is not the enemy. Well, we know. Let's just jump into Hasan Piker because everybody should know about this Democrat. He reveals who the Democrat Party is, what the Democrat Party is, and also so do the fellow travelers of Hasan Piker and all the commies that are out there. But here is Ilhan Omar. She's a jihadi. It was weird. Right in the middle of this soundbite, a black scorpion crawled out of her hair and came crawling down her neck, and she didn't even feel it. That's weird. And I just made that part up. There was no black scorpion, but I've always envisioned her sun-bleached bones in the windswept deserts of Somaliland and black scorpions crawling over her bones, which is where she'd be if the United States had not saved her and her family, and she wants to firebomb us for it because she's an Islamic jihadi. She's not one of the good guys. As I like to say about the Democrats, to paraphrase President Trump, they're not sending their best. And that's the Democrats to Washington, not the illegal alien gang members that the Democrats are importing by the millions, which they're also doing because they're filth. They're the filthies. But here is the jihadi Ilhan Omar, talking about her jihadi fellow traveler, Hasan Piker, who's a big Democrat Party influencer on Al Gore's amazing internet.
Support for Israel, essentially doesn't really exist, especially within the Democratic base.
Support doesn't exist.
It makes sense that if you are running for a political position, whether it's Congress or for the presidency, and you're a Democrat and you might find yourself in a competitive Democratic primary, that's going to be at least where people start the conversation.
Yeah, at least that's going to be where people start the conversation. But being anti-Israel is where you start the conversation, like their Nazi forebears and like Al-Qaeda. The people that crashed those airliners into the buildings and all that stuff. I remember it well. And here's left-wing media from MS-13 Now. The headline is AOC, the dim-witted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC finally takes a position that makes sense on military aid to Israel. And you know what the one that makes sense is? Nothing for you Jews. You must be wiped from the face of the earth. You must be exterminated from the river to the sea. They don't know which river and which sea because they're dumb. But Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pivot reflects a changing party ahead of 2028. Well, what is this now? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez voted last summer against an amendment to cut off aid for Israel's missile defense, to make them vulnerable to Iran, the world's number one, jihad outfit, the Islamic Revolution. Her vote was a striking break with several progressives whom she often has voted alongside, including Representatives Ilhan Omar, who we just played, their total jihadi, Minnesota Democrat, what happened to Minnesota, Rashida Tlaib, Democrat, Michigan, and enraged many on the pro-Palestinian left. But Now she's come around. Now she's for cutting off Israel altogether. So they're on their own. They're on their own. It's like Blazing Saddles. Kid, you're on your own. So the Democrat Party as well, let the Islamic world massacre all the Jews and kill them all and wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And then the Democrats can get to killing them here in the United States, I would assume. But isn't that amazing? See, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez put a statement out to MS-13 now. I believe the Israeli government is well able to fund the Iron Dome system, which has proven critical to keep innocent civilians safe from rocket attacks and bombardment. Consistent with my voting to date, I will not support Congress sending more tax dollars and military aid to a government that consistently ignores international law and U.S. law. So here she's cutting off the Jews because she's a goose-stepping fascist who didn't know where lettuce came from until she was 45 because she thought it came from Whole Foods. Whole Foods is where it comes from. So she is now anti-Israel, cutting off Israel completely. And she is like, one of the cupcakes of the Democrat Party. And she'll be firebombing. They firebombed the Democrats, the Jewish governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, because the Jewish governor, it was the first night of Passover when they firebombed the governor's mansion, burned it up real good. They had just finished dinner, Seder dinner, Passover, and the Democrats firebombed the Jewish governor's home. And then the criminal was caught, the firebomber with the Molotov cocktails was caught. And he said, well, yeah, that Jew is too pro-Israel. So the Democrats are firebombing everybody in there. And here's Ilhan Omar. She is a jihadi, and she no like the Jews.
Our relationship with Israel is part of that conversation, whether you are okay in
sing-song
continuing to give this $3.8 billion annually to Israel or not. That's going to be part of the conversation. I believe we should also go further and say, yes, are you committed?
Yes.
To ending the impunity that we provide to Israel internationally? Because accountability will never come to Israel as long as the United States has that veto power to stop them from, being held accountable.
She is on Hasan Piker's show, a streaming show, and he's agreeing enthusiastically. Yes, death to the Jews, death to the Jews. And from the river to the sea, and death to America. This is the Death to America crowd. That's who these people are. Ilhan Omar with her pal Hasan Piker.
The problem shouldn't be the streamer who understands where the base is.
Hasan Piker,
who's coming from a place of integrity and honesty. Supporting a candidate that really fits that 90-10 issue the exact way that it should. Because if we are to have a representative democracy, the people have to represent the interest of those that they are seeking to govern.
Yeah. Hasan Piker agrees. He's like leaning back with an AK-47 and a turban, and he's got a dead Jew at his feet. And these people they're living in the Middle Ages, and she should be deported from the United States by catapult back to Somaliland, where her communist father brutalized the people there when he was in the military. But never mind that. Hasan Piker and Ilhan Omar.
I think we do have a real opportunity to make some significant changes and build a real left caucus in the party and hopefully maybe even bully some other Democrats into coming on board with positions that they previously would never have the moral courage to openly fight for.
Yeah.
Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles. To have the courage, they got to have the courage to join the genocidal fascist racists, because the Democrat Party has made it trendy and fashionable to be a genocidal, racist, fascist, bloodthirsty ghoul from hell. The Democrat Party. And don't forget to sign the kids up for the After School Satan Club, where they'll pick up more of this good stuff from the Democrat Party, the reddest party America's ever seen. Yes, I have mailbag day questions in my hand, and I'm studying them now. A great many fun and excellent mailbag questions for the day. We've got the Democrat Party, and it is kind of a funny story out of Maryland. They're very upset. Governor Wes Moore, the college Republican, that's the headline with a question mark. Questions mount. They're back to Swalwell now. After yearbook photos surfaces, and they got a picture of the governor's mansion here in Maryland. Wes Moore, he in college, where as a military school, and he's at Valley Forge Military College. There's a yearbook picture of him in his uniform, very dressy uniform, and in the below the photo, there are little descriptors of Wes Moore, the Democrat, who the Democrats want to run for president because he's black, and that's all that matters. He's the second, black guy to come along who's articulate and bright and clean, just like Joe Biden said about Barack Hussein Obama. But this is bad news for him because the picture beneath it says that he is on the Dean's Council, that he's clubs and organizations, college Republicans. Now, the Democrats are going to have to murder him. They got to myrtleize him because they can't have that. And it naturally reminds everyone of another Democrat governor, this one from the Commonwealth of Virginia, right? And that was Ralph Northam. Ralph Shearer Northam. And in his college yearbook, there's a picture here that of one guy in blackface, total blackface with some funny plaid pants and a goofy hat. Total blackface, and is that Governor Ralph Northam? Or the guy next to him is in a full-blown Democrat, pointed white hat, KKK uniform. And for when you're a Democrat, this is no problem. Except this is going to be a bigger problem with Wes Moore because he said he's a Republican. See, wearing a KKK uniform, that's a Democrat club. The Democrats created it, Nathan Bedford Forrest, to Robert Byrd. It's a Democrat club. So Ralph Northam was okay being in a KKK uniform, but saying you're a Republican,